Hello, America. It's time to check the nonsense at the door, clear the cobwebs between your ears, and have a rational-ish conversation. This is the lost art of common sense. Welcome to part 3 of the 1983 warning that fell on deaf ears. I'm Josh.
And I'm Kevin.
With our special guest, Aaron. Say hi, Aaron.
Hey, guys.
And this is the lost art of common sense. Enjoy part 3 of the wrap-up, everybody.
It is borrowed from 1968 situation in Czechoslovakia, when the Soviet propaganda and after them New York Times declared the country is normalized. The tanks moved into Prague, so there is no more Prague Spring, there is no more violence, normalization. At that stage, the self-appointed rulers of the society don't need any revolution anymore. They don't need any radicalism anymore. So this is the reverse from destabilization. Basically, it is stabilizing the country by force. So all these sleepers and activists and social workers and liberals and homosexuals and professors and Marxists and Leninists are being eliminated physically sometimes. They've done their job already. Okay? They are not needed anymore. The new rulers need stability to exploit the nation, to exploit the country, to take advantages of the victory. Okay? So no more revolutionaries, please. And that's exactly what happens in a number of countries. You remember Bangladesh? This is the crisis in which I was instrumental. First, they had Mujibur Rahman. In 1971, he was the leader of People's Party, Awami League, with mustache like Stalin. He was in Russia many times. In 5 years, he was shot by his former colleagues, Marxists. He fulfilled his function. In Afghanistan, it happened 3 times. First there was Taraki, then there was Amin, now there's Babrak Karmal. They killed each other successively, one after another. The moment he fulfills his duty, the first one demoralized country, the second destabilized, the third one brought it to crisis. Goodbye, comrades. Babrak Karmal comes from Moscow and put into the seat of power. Same thing happened in Grenada recently. Maurice Bishop, Marxist, was killed by Austin, what's his name, General something, who was also a Marxist. Right? So no more revolutions, please. Normalization now. From now on, no more strikes, no more homosexuals, no more women lib, no more kid lib, no more lib, period. Good, solid, democratic, proletarian freedom. That's it. Now, to reverse this process takes enormous effort. When today, United States had to invade Grenada to reverse the process of subversion. Some people say, boy, this is not good, it's not kosher to invade the beautiful country, island of Grenada. Well, why didn't you stop the process here when Grenada was just approached by leftists? Why not to prevent Maurice Bishop to come in power in the first place? Did Grenadians want him? Very questionable. They didn't know who was Maurice Bishop in the first place. He came to power by coup d'etat himself. Okay? No, we let the situation develop further and further and further until the crisis and normalization very soon. And then the United States decided to invade country, discovering that the country was absolutely a military base for the Soviet Union. Of course, it's a drastic measure. Of course, it's a pity that Marine Corps had to lose, 17 lives. Very bad. Why not to stop the process before it comes to crisis? Oh, no, intellectuals will not let you. It's interference into domestic affairs. They're very careful not to let American administration to interfere in domestic affairs of Latin American countries. They don't mind Soviet Union interfere in these affairs. Okay. So to reverse this process from here, it takes only and always military force. No other force on earth can reverse this process at this point. At this point, it does not take military invasion of the United States Army. It takes strong action, like in Chile, a CIA covert involvement to prevent the savior from outside to come into power and to stabilize country before it erupts into civil war. Okay? Support the right-wing conservative forces. By money, by crooks or love, doesn't matter. Stabilize the country. Don't let the crisis develop into civil war or invasion. Oh no, your liberals will say it's against the law. The Congress will not appropriate money for covert actions of CIA. Why not? Should we wait till the normalization come and Soviet tanks land in Los Angeles airport? Now, at that point, at the point of destabilization, also the process could be reversed. Again, easily than this. No CIA involvement at this point. You know what it takes here? Restriction of some liberties for small groups which are self-declared enemies of the society. As simple as that. Oh no, the media and liberals will tell you this is against the American Constitution. How can we, by force, deny the civil rights to criminals, for example? It's not good. Okay? So we allow them to, okay, if you allow the criminals to have civil rights, go on and bring the country to the crisis. This is a bloodless way to do. Curb the rights. I mean, not to put them in prison. No, I'm not talking about putting all the gays from San Francisco in the concentration camp. Do not allow them to take political force. Do not elect them to the seats of power, whether it is municipality level, state level, or federal level. It has to be beaten in the heads of American voters that a person like that in the seats of power is an enemy. Do not be afraid of this word. It is an enemy. If he is not an enemy here, he will be here. Later on, he will be shot, of course. But at this point, he is an enemy. Okay? You are doing great service by denying him a right to capitalize on his own crazy ideas and become a powerful man, a man who uses the seat of power. Restriction of certain freedoms and permissiveness at that point would prevent sliding into crisis and probably will return the process of destabilization. To curb unlimited power, monopolistic power of trade unions here at that point would save economy from collapsing. To introduce a law to stop private companies of raping public opinion's mind in the direction of consumerism. No company must have a right to force you into buying more unless you want it. There must be a law. You want to advertise your car? Okay. But not a single mentioning of buying it now and saving money. It must be against the law to force people to consume more. Self-restraint. Previously, before this process started, the self-restraint was a business of church, religion. Because our preachers, the fathers of church, would tell us, material values are good, but it's not the prime function of human being. Because you have to live with something. Obviously, the design for our life is not to consume more deodorants. There must be something greater. If such a complicated instrument as human body was created, obviously there must be some higher purpose for that. And it's very easy to avoid destabilization by denying the greedy companies one little freedom, one little liberty, forcing you into turning yourself into processors of unwanted products and goods. They turn you into machines, like the worm who there's inlet and outlet. So, and how long an average appliance lasts these days? Less than a year. Why? Where's workmanship? Oh, we want you to buy more. Okay, destabilization process could be easily overcome if, as I say, the society by its own will or after persuasion by the leaders, will come to the idea of self-restraint. It's so hard, we want to consume more, but you have to. Unless you will come to this stage, when, as we say in Russia, if Sahara Desert ever becomes a communist state, there will be shortage of sand. So you have to curb your... You have to curb your expectations.
I've heard that said about the U.S. government, too. If the U.S. government was ever put in charge of the Sahara, there'd be a shortage of sand in 5 years.
Did you know there is a shortage of sand?
I read something like that years ago.
Beach sand, not just sand, because beach sand is different than sand.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like Galveston stands like concrete.
Yeah, there's certain sands in the world that are actually like certain beaches and stuff that there's a shortage of sand where they can't replace
Where did the sand go, Kevin?
I'm guessing into the damn ocean.
The article I read, it was talking about like rough sand that gets used in like concrete mixes.
Oh, is that it?
Yeah.
I don't know. I just
like if you get stuff like right off the bottom of the ocean floor, it's smooth. Someone's going to correct me on this. But
I don't know. No, they won't.
No, they won't. We've said so much dumb shit on the show. Nobody says anything.
Yeah,
I just know
was
there's a shortage of some kind of sand for some reason.
Yeah, you
I
see
can't
a
remember.
headline that says there's a shortage of sand, and you can't not click on it.
Yeah.
But it was something along like with concrete production they use.
It might be that. That might be what I was thinking of. I think that was it. And somehow beach sand, you can't use beach sand or something.
Yeah, because it's all smoothed over from erosion.
Yeah, so you have to use a certain type of sand. And
that's how you polish rocks. Fourth grade science, bitches.
Okay. So going back to the video, if you want. It's just funny how he said that, all these revolutionaries, once they've done their job, they will be killed or imprisoned or whatever.
Yeah.
And that's usually how it, you don't think about it until you, like he says it and you're like, yeah, I mean, that's happened before. And it's everybody who made it happen for these guys to get into power are now, not useful to them anymore. And he doesn't need that destabilization anymore.
Why do you think that is, though? Why do you? And I want to hear from both of you. Why do you think that those people need to be imprisoned or eliminated, or once the goal is achieved? Why do those people need to go away?
Go ahead, Aaron.
Once you've led a revolution, you served your purpose. And if you've done it once, you can do it again. I think even Jordan Peterson mentioned that in a commentary on socialism or communism, with people thinking, oh, it just hasn't been done by the right person. It's like, yeah, but there's always someone there behind you ready to take you out once you've gotten done with your part.
Well, I think that's part of it. And I think that for a lot of it is they're easily manipulated. If somebody can be manipulated into believing your cause so easily, even though, maybe it didn't matter how radical it was, they can be manipulated again against you. So I think that might also be a reason to take them out. Obviously not the higher ups of the revolution or whatever, but the drones, I guess.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I think that. Well, I think you're both right, but because there's always someone looking. It's like, oh, it's my part or your part or whatever. But at the end of the day, I mean, once everything comes to fruition, it's not what they think it's going to be. It's like all these people that are like, oh yeah, men can get pregnant. Okay, one, you're dumb, and two, when you find out that you were just used, these are emotionally damaged people that have been manipulated and used for the cause. So as soon as they finally, like in one of the first video I saw of this guy, he said that these people will not, like these people that he's talking about that are going to get jailed or eliminated or whatever, you can throw facts in their face and it doesn't matter. They won't listen until it's too late and the boots are on their back because they're just like so involved in it. And like I said, he attacks the educational system. They've been just inundated with this stuff to believe it. And then when that wall finally fractures, that's not people you want to make a stable society. So I think that's why, that's kind of like why I think like they'd have to go, because they're just like, one, you could easily manipulate them to the other side. Two, there's going to be a lot of broken people. I think there already are, but I mean, it's just me. And I think we're right on the edge of crisis. Like, I think we're through the second step. Like,
here's the thing. Like, he is talking about a government can come in, like the U.S. can come into, like what he said, like Grenada or whatever. And I'm too young to remember that shit. But he's like, yeah, they should have came in earlier before, during the destabilization period. But I don't think, like, no one's going to come in and, obviously tell us, like, hey, you're fucking up. Because one, either...
That's not necessarily true.
Well, very few countries will. One, either we're bankrolling them or we're protecting them, or, to where they don't think we're going to listen to them anyways. But basically, if the U.S. falls, let's just say like Grenada did, or like, don't know why I'm using Grenada. I have no idea what happened there.
You've heard it said like 3 times.
Yeah. So now that's on my mind. But I mean, if the U.S. falls, I don't know what happens to the rest of the world. But I don't know where I'm going with this, but there's no one to stop us from destroying ourselves.
True, but if the U.S. fell, that would have huge implications across the globe too.
Yeah, and that kind of leaves. I think we got 8 minutes left of the video. We'll wrap. We'll go ahead and let the video play out, and then we'll do a wrap up and see, like, kind of what everyone was saying, where all that leads. So we'll get back into the video and wrap up the last 8 minutes.
At this point, before it's too late, but no, we don't want to do it. Demoralization process. Again, it's the easiest thing to reverse. First of all, by restricting import of propaganda, the easiest thing to do. Unlimited, unrestrained import of Soviet literature, Soviet journalists, giving Soviet propaganda and ideological agitators equal time on American TV network. It has to be stopped. And it's easy. They won't be offended, mind you. As a matter of fact, they will respect America more. But when my former colleague Vladimir Posner appears on Nightline and Ted Koppel asks him, well, Vladimir, what do you think about this? And what can he think? He is an instrument of propaganda. He thinks what Comrade Andropov tells him to think. He's just a nice, articulate mouthpiece of the Soviet subversion system. And Ted Koppel makes you believe that my friend Vladimir Posner thinks the process of demoralization may not have started at all if at that point the country, which is a recipient of subversion, actively, not violently, but actively, prevents importation of foreign ideology. I don't want America to follow the pattern of ancient Japan. You don't have to shoot every foreigner when it approaches the sacred borders of the United States. But when he offers you a junk in the disguise of very shiny something, you have to tell him, no, we have our own junk. If at that point the society is strong, brave, and conscientious enough to stop importation of ideas which are foreign, then the whole chain of events could be prevented. Recently, I've been to Philippines, and I was shocked how in big cities like Manila, children listen to deafening music. A melodious nation with long traditions of good, nice ethnic music, introduced by Spanish long time ago, maybe 2 centuries, 3 centuries ago, I don't remember how. All of a sudden listen to musical garbage, blasting their radios at full blast, at the full volume. Why? In India, I spent many years watching the reactions of Indians walking out of movie theaters after seeing Hollywood production. They couldn't figure out why Americans are so wasteful. They smash their cars, their shiny cars, every 5 minutes. How come they shoot each other for $500,000? Is it true that they're so obsessed with sex? Can you imagine showing a movie where each 5 minutes there's a copulation on the screen to a country like India with long tradition of respect to this private matters, or to Pakistan? And United States expect these people to respect you? No way. Oh yes, they will see the movie. They'll pay 5 rupees to see that garbage. But they walk out and will tell their kids, don't respect Americans. Don't be like Americans. See? So, the process of demoralization could be stopped right here, both as an expert and as an import. And that takes one step, one very important thing to do. You don't have to expel all the KGB agents from Washington, D.C. The most difficult and at the same time the simplest answer to the subversion is to start it here and even before, by bringing back the society to religion, something that you cannot touch and eat and put on yourself, but something that rules society and makes it move and preserve it. A Soviet scientist, Shafarevich, who has nothing to do with religion, he's a computer scientist, did a very intensive research on the history of socialist countries. He calls socialist or communist any country with a centralized economy and a pyramidal style of power structure. And he discovered, actually he didn't discover it, he just brought to attention of his readers, that civilizations like Mohenjo-Daro in the river Indus area, like Egypt, like Maya, Incas, like Babylonian culture, collapsed and disappeared from the surface of Earth. The moment they lost religion, as simple as that, they disintegrated. Nobody remembers about them anymore. Well, distantly. So, the ideas are moving society and keeping mankind as a society of human beings, intelligent, moral agents of God. The facts, the truth, the exact knowledge may not. All the sophisticated technology and computers will not prevent society from disintegrating and eventually dying out. Have you ever met a person who would sacrifice his life, freedom, for the truth like that? This is truth. I never met a person who said, this is truth and I'm ready to shoot me. To defend the truth. Right? But millions sacrifice their life, freedom, comfort, everything for things like God, like Jesus Christ. It's an honor. Some martyrs in the Soviet concentration camp died. And they died in peace, unlike those who shouted, "Long live Stalin," knowing perfectly well that he may not live long. Something which is not material, moves society and helps it to survive. And the other way around, the moment we turn into 2 by 2 is 4 and make it a guiding principle of our life, our existence, we die. Even though this is true, and this we cannot prove. We only can feel and have faith in it. So the answer to ideological subversion, strangely enough, is very simple. You don't have to shoot people. You don't have to aim missiles and Pershings and cruise missiles at Andropov's headquarters. You simply have to have faith and prevent subversion. In other words, not to be a victim of subversion. Don't try to be a person who in judo is trying to smash your enemy and being caught by your hand. Don't strike like that. Strike with the power of your spirit and moral superiority. If you don't have that power, it's high time to develop it. And that's the only answer. That's it.
Thank you.
Well, that was very enlightening.
Do you feel like you've been educated, Kevin?
I have been educated. Well, more frightened, I guess, than educated.
What are your overall thoughts and takeaways from the video we just watched?
Well, my overall thoughts is pretty much what we kind of discussed before. Is we're on this path, and I wouldn't have thought that this was a espionage type of happening. I mean, I guess I thought maybe some of it, but I would not have thought that, but as much as he's talking about, and it almost seems like this has to be almost like an espionage type of deal. The way this is happening, it's frightening that's happening and no one realized it. And I don't know. It's scary is what the hell it is. And I don't know if we can come back from it. I don't know if we can not get to the crisis point. Unless people wake up and this is talking to moderates, independents, centrist left people, middle right. I mean, we gotta fight this demonization of America and try to bring it back to where it was. I'm not saying, don't go hating gay people or anything, but our moral compass has obviously shifted. So we need to get back to a more moral country, a more God-fearing country, I guess. I think would be the way to do it.
What are your thoughts, Aaron?
I thought it was interesting he brought it back to a religion to be the one thing to prevent a bunch of that. We've seen a lot of that going away here recently. Yeah.
The man of many words.
Well, I was going to say, I mean, I think of Nietzsche, one of his famous lines is God is dead. But if you read a lot of that passage, it was more of we've done away with the moral compass. And that's what that whole parable was about, was God was what was set as our guiding rule on how we act and conduct ourselves. And then we do away with that. We don't really have anything else in place of it. And that's saying, Nietzsche was atheist himself, but he understood the point of God and religion.
Yeah, that's a big argument that atheists make is like, well, I know what's right and what's wrong, but, and you can make that argument where he said 2 times 2 = 4. Once you agree on just like hard facts, or not even just hard facts, but that kind of sounds a lot like follow the science. That's what was popping into my head when he was saying that.
Yeah, same here.
Obviously this isn't, so I think we're all in agreement that and it kind of seems like it goes step by step by step, that this plan has been engaged against the United States. I severely doubt that the KGB in Russia has anything to do with it. Who do you think's behind it?
Globalist.
You think George Soros has got a hand in it?
Who knows? Maybe Klaus Schwab.
Klaus Schwab.
Fucking Bond villain himself.
That is, yeah, that name does spell that.
Well, the way he
It just-
talks, you ever heard him?
Yeah.
It's like he might as well just say he's aiming a fucking, a missile at the U.S. It's like
Yeah.
with a
Well,
cat on his lap.
and I do
My
think,
picture.
I do think that the lack of like a religious person's isn't going to be persuaded. Like someone who doesn't even have to. It doesn't matter what religion it is. If you're strong in faith and someone tells you something that obviously isn't true, you can be like, nope, and they're not going to be persuaded to the fact. And I think back in 1983, when this thing was released, religion was still kind of was pretty still strong. Like there has been a drastic drop off since 2000 in Christianity and stuff like that in the United States. But back when this was like, oh, we're not going to worry about that because we're a pretty religious country. Because it wasn't the Russians doing it. They might have tried it, but I don't think it ever worked. But like there's obviously been something going on, but I don't know.
Well, I think when you don't have religion in your life, even if that faith, I think if you don't have faith, there's a certain part of you that's missing, and people are trying to fill this in with whatever, let it be sex or, trying to find something to belong to. And I think that's what's happening is people they don't know where to go without a sense of faith. They have to find something to believe in. If you don't believe in God, but everybody's got to believe in something. I think they're searching for that belief. So maybe that belief is the science or who knows, socialist, I don't know, ideals.
That's true, and that could be it. We've been at this for 2 hours and 20 minutes, so we're going to take another pee break, and then we'll be back up to wrap up the show. And we're back. We're going to wrap this episode up with everyone's final thoughts on the entire video as a whole, starting off with our special guest and loyal listener, Aaron.
So I thought it was very interesting seeing what he laid out in the steps, seeing what corresponds in that, what we've seen in the last few years and where it looks like we'd be at, and then what comes after that from his layout of it. It's very eye-opening, to say the least.
And Kevin, what did you pull away from that video?
We're fucked. I'm just trying to figure out when people start calling for Aaron to replace me, and but I thought it was enlightening. I thought it was sad because you can find these things happening in our own country, in the great country of the United States of America, rock, flag, and eagle. But you can see it. I mean, it's weird how at least the first two stages as of right now are absolutely happening or has happened and are in process to the crisis area. And I think I would give it a 30-70 chance that we can turn this around.
Yeah, it's hard. I think when I first saw the short one, I was like, "Damn, this thing's right on." Then I found this full lecture where he actually steps through it, and I guess I would be kind of. I don't know why Beck didn't do it. Beck did his own board. He thinks we're in crisis mode, which crisis mode means I mean, the result, I see, and I don't know if that's crisis mode is where we're at, and then the crisis mode results in civil war or foreign invasion. Technically, we are dealing with a foreign invasion, just not military, but um, he did his own. He thinks we're in crisis mode. I think we're right on that line, and I did think that it's just weird because you can just follow it step for step for step for step. I mean, it's definitely scary, and like, yeah, I don't. I mean, we'll have to see how the midterms turn out. Really, I mean, if you want to know if there's even a rat's ass chance in hell of this turning around, the midterms elections next month are going to be, and possibly this month, depending on how many weeks this goes out. Um, this might be after the fact, but let's just put it this way: if there wasn't a giant red tsunami, I'm going to go ahead and predict that we're going to go into full crisis mode. And I did want to kind of, and Aaron, you brought it up. I did kind of want your thoughts on you, because I think me and Kevin have brought it up. What do you think the world would look like if the U.S. fell?
Oh, it'd be a different world for sure. Don't a lot of other countries invest in the dollar itself?
Well, yeah, right now the U.S. dollar is the world recognized world currency.
Yeah, so if the US collapses and the dollar just falls out, that affects every other country.
Yeah,
And then we're
there's a
suddenly
current
not the
plan on Beijing's replacing the dollar with the yen or whatever the hell they use.
yeah. Well, I mean, Russia and China are both backing up their currency with actual gold or whatever it is. They're putting a physical asset behind it. But yeah, if the dollar falls, then that affects everybody.
Do you
I
think it's
think
just monetarily, or do you think there would be, I mean, anything else that could
to do
go
that.
from a weak United States? Well, we're already weak, but from a completely take U.S. off the board, you know.
Take the US off the board. It'd be interesting to see who would sprout up as the world power at that point. I mean, would it be Russia, China, something come out of Europe? I don't know. The EU looks like it's about to fall apart itself.
Yeah, it is part of the West. I mean, they are considered part of the West. I don't think it would be Russia. I mean, I don't know how Russia could do it. Um, the only person that has been placing themselves across the world uh, is really China, and they have 100-year plan for China
I don't think they have
domination
the.
and rule.
I don't think they have it though. I mean, I don't think China does. That's the problem is I don't think China. They might have a plan, but I don't think they can implement it. I don't think they have the resources to implement it. I don't think they have the dominating power to implement it. I just think China is more like a Reese's Pieces, hard candy shell, soft middle. I just they act tougher than they are.
China's done what they've wanted for the last 5,000 years with disregard to the rest of the world. They're like, hey, we're going to
Well,
do
you say
what
that,
we
but they
want.
almost got wiped off the planet by the Japanese, which is kind of fucked up that China has a problem with the United States, because the whole reason why China still exists is you're welcome, China. America saved your ass.
Exactly. I just don't think they're as powerful as.
Although World War II did result in the rise of the Communist Party in China.
Yes. I mean, if you want to follow this, I mean, you can kind of see how the Mao dynasty or whatever is communism, is he took people like that, like when he said they kill their like supporters and stuff, and the people who got him there. That's exactly what happened when Mao got in power, is he did that shit. So I mean, it's crazy, but if anything's going to happen, I think the world will go into a global chaos. There's going to be a massive economies will just be destroyed. And I think some globalization type of thing will be tried to be implemented. I think there will be several countries trying to partner up to globalize the world into a
Yeah, I don't think that. Well, here's the thing: if China were, I don't think if America falls, that there's going to be someone to step in. I think if America falls, it'll be pretty well total global chaos for a while. If China could somehow switch the global economic currency from the US dollar to their currency, they'll be fine economically. We've discussed it before, like they are really good at the tech game and their missiles. It kind of looks like as far as ground fighting, they're not as good. They got a lot of people, but we will be bringing up in a future episode on why it would be less than advantageous for China to engage in a world war, considering the projections on their population. But yeah, I think that I don't know. It's kind of like we have because that the U.S. dollar has become the world currency, and because that when you have a strong United States, people can say they hate Trump, whatever, they crazy asshole, whatever. There's obviously a lot less crazy shit going on the planet when Trump is in power, or you could argue when Republicans are in power, other than shortly after Bush got elected, 9/11 happened. But that might be another reaction video we do. Actually, that'll take forever though, because that's a 4-hour video. I have to break that into
What's
days.
that?
The 9/11 documentary I've been trying to get you to watch.
You too.
But that'll be a long one.
Can't you just cut it up?
No, you can't.
Can't there be a shorter version?
Very entertaining. You need every second of it.
You want me to watch a 4-hour documentary?
Yeah, trust me. Once you start watching it, it just runs.
I can barely watch a half-hour TV show without getting on my phone.
I'm just saying. But no, I think I don't know. Like if we fall, I don't think there's no other than the World Economic Forum, which I'm thinking, because that's what happened in China. That color revolution. That's what this guy's talking about. Like that's what happened in China. It's a color revolution. That's just weird. That's what Beck's been warning about for years. And they finally came out, oh, it's the Soviet plan of subversion. Or you could call it a color revolution, which makes it sound all nice. Who doesn't like colors? Other than people that are colorblind that probably hate colors. Because they can't see them.
Yeah, make sure there's an S on there.
I said colors.
Yeah.
Like red, green, and yellow. What the hell's wrong with you? I know what you did there. It's not going to work, Kevin. It's not going to work. Yeah, that's my thoughts on it. But yeah, we've been at this for a while, so I think we're going to go ahead and wrap it up. Thanks for everyone for joining on. Make sure to like, subscribe, comment, share. Like, comment on everything. If you're not on Rumble yet, there's something wrong with you, but we still love you. Until next time, I'm Josh.
And I'm Kevin.
And a great special thanks to our special guest, Aaron.
See ya.
All right, until next time, this was the Lost Art of Common Sense. Common sense, people!
Common sense!
Common sense! We'll see you next week.